Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Vincent Tavares, and I am officially a licensed pharmacist within the state of Kansas, so you can now call me Dr. Vinny. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about why I decided to resign or quit from my residency program position after being in it for 3 months. Yes, I did quit and leave my pharmacy residency position due to a number of factors. And so I'm going to be talking about that today and mental health in general. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. Hey everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vincent, and I am now a licensed pharmacist within the state of Kansas. And so I know that it's been a while since I made my last few YouTube videos about my experience going through the pharmacy matching process for pharmacy residency position. And it's good to be back. A lot has happened that we're going to talk about today on why I decided to resign and quit my residency program and leave the position that I was in actually very recently, and how I got to that point and everything that happened. I will say, disclaimer, I'm not going to be mentioning any names of any program, any company, anybody of who was actually involved. I value professionalism extremely, and I'll be very professional and respectful of that throughout this video. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. Before I tell you more details about the story and why I resigned, I just wanted to provide a little bit of background information that might help you understand where my mindset was going into residency. I will say that this past year, since really last summer, 2021 to now, has probably been one of the worst years of my life. There have been a lot of things that have happened that I haven't really shared with everybody. Things happening with my family, things happening with me personally, but adding everything up together is very, very overwhelming, and already didn't put me in a good position going into residency. So last summer, my dad was diagnosed with liver and kidney cancer. My aunt earlier this year was diagnosed with end-stage liver disease, and it was not looking great for her. I will say that my dad did have a surgery in March of 2022. He's officially cancer-free as of right now. So things are looking up with him, and as well as my aunt. She is on her way to get back to her normal and healthy self, and I can't wait to see that happen. In November of last year, I was also diagnosed with ADHD. I had been struggling in my rotations at the time. I was going through very difficult rotations as well, so I was very stressed during this time a year ago. And at the same time, I did end up unexpectedly having a breakup with my former partner after being together for a year and a half, who I thought was gonna be the person I was gonna be with forever. And it was a very big blindside, and it ended up very, very badly to where I had to actually move out from that apartment and go straight to my house 2 hours away the night everything happened. And so I'm still trying to recover from that. But also, as you all know, I did, try tremendously hard to match in phase 1, didn't match. That was a huge kick in the face to me. And please go watch my other videos to hear a little bit more about that. But then I also did go through phase 2, and that was just another whole stressful mess. And so all of this together, I didn't have the best mindset going into residency, and I was also very stressed due to boards. My boards pharmacy exams for licensure, almost $1,000. And you don't work your last year of pharmacy school, so I don't have just $1,000 laying around, and I'm very independent. And so altogether, I was already in not the best mindset going into residency. Despite not feeling mentally ready for residency, I did go ahead, started my residency position, and I loved what I was doing daily. working with patients, being able to speak with patients, educate patients, and really build relationships with those patients over time, and doing what I could on a day-to-day basis to use my knowledge to help them in any shape where it could. And so starting out, I loved my responsibilities. I was getting along with the entire pharmacy team. I was in a few different pharmacies, actually, one pharmacy in Wichita and then another pharmacy in Hutchinson. So I was at two different ones a couple days a week, and I was meshing well with the one in Wichita. I loved being at that store and being around all the other workers. And at the same time, I also was starting my research project, and I'm very, very, very passionate about mental health. If you don't know that, because I have suffered depression and anxiety my whole life, that's been a whole roller coaster in itself. And so my research project did have to do with mental health. I was super excited about it. It was my original idea that I had actually before I went into residency, and worked months on it with my team. And I actually was going to be presenting my research project in Las Vegas in December. Unfortunately, that's not gonna happen anymore because I resigned from my residency position. So everything was looking up when I first started my residency, and then I was just blindsided. As weeks progressed, my mental health worsened, and it was just due to a lot of issues. So financial issues. I had to actually move Cairo from Wichita back to Chanute with my mom because I was doing 8-9 hour days. I didn't have time to come back to my apartment to let him out in the middle of the day because it's 30 minutes away. And I felt so horrible having him alone all day. And then when I got home, I had even more stuff to do, residency related projects to work on. And so these were 16, 18 hour days that I was doing, and every single day during the week, and I was exhausted. As my mental health worsened, I began to talk to my immediate family, my mom, my dad, my brothers and sisters. I was talking to my best friends who were doing residencies across the country, and day in, week after week, I was telling them how I was feeling, what was going on in my current experience. And I loved what I did, and I know that and did have the full capability of doing everything that was thrown at me. It wasn't a matter of I couldn't do it all. It was a matter of I am struggling with building relationships with a couple of my preceptors, and I've never had this situation before. And like I said, I'm not going to go too much into this, but it's important to talk about because it is a big why, or a big reason that led me to resign from my residency position. And so as I began to think about it, as far as why was my mental health worsening, it became very clear that it was the environment I was in every single day. Every day I would go into the pharmacy and I would feel unvalued, unappreciated, never would be good enough, and that I would never meet anybody's expectations. And it was constant tearing me down day in and day out. It was never building me up. And a person can only take so much of that, and they can only persevere through that so much before it becomes toxic. And the environment that I was in was negative and toxic, and I was always being compared to previous residents who are completely different than me, and we are completely different people. And so I hated just waking up and going to work every day. I loved waking up, but the moment I knew I had to go to work, my day was ruined. I mean, there were days whenever I would go to residency, I was so at a very, very low point in my life that I remember days where I would sit outside the pharmacy and just break down crying for like 30 minutes before I went to work. Then I had to go inside, act like nothing even happened, and make sure I didn't look like I'd just been crying for 30 minutes. So I was at the lowest point that I could ever think of as far as my mental health. I felt like I hit rock bottom at this point because I had gone to the program leadership multiple times, and the program was just unwilling to adjust adjust their methods of precepting and teaching. And so over time, it just kind of snowballed and got worse and worse and worse until I made the hardest decision I could ever make, and that was whenever I decided that I was going to resign and quit my residency position. I do want to say that it wasn't a decision that I just thought of one night. I had thought about and spent hours upon hours talking with my family and friends, considering the decision and weighing the potential risk and benefits of quitting versus staying. You know, could I really handle 7 more months of what I was going through? If I'm being honest, I didn't want to know what 7 more months would have felt like, because I was honestly couldn't even see myself being here anymore if I would have had to go through those 7 months. It was this bad, and I always wanted to be in an empowering, judge-free, positive environment, and I never was. And so I had to just think about whether everything was worth it or not, and whether or not this experience was going to really help me accomplish my end goals. And I decided and prioritized my mental health and decided to remove myself from the toxic and negative environment I was in daily. And I knew that I needed to let go to allow room for me to embrace better and greater things that are planned for me in the future. I had to let go, although how difficult it was extremely challenging, and I was scared to make the decision that I did. But as weeks went by very, very quickly in my residency program, throughout July, August, September, October, every day was flying by, but I was busy 24/7. And I noticed that my mental health was plummeting, you know, like we talked about before. It wasn't already in a good state going into residency, but I was doing 70 to 80 hours a week. I was going to the pharmacy from doing a 9-hour day on average, and then going home and having projects or things that I needed to do residency related. And I would be doing that, you know, take a break, eat dinner, and then work on that, go to bed. And so I actually had to move my dog, Cairo, who's also registered as my emotional support animal. Don't know if anybody really knows that, but he absolutely helps me with my mood, and I had to move him back to Chanute just because I just didn't have the resources to take care of him as he should be and give him the attention that he deserves. And so that in itself really, really brought me down, because I was even more alone in a new city, that I wasn't making a lot of friends because I was so busy with residency. I will say, and do want to make it very clear, that I'm in a much better mindset. I am so much happier in life ever since I made the decision to quit or resign on October 24th of 2022 from my pharmacy residency position. Honestly, best decision I could have made, no regrets, and life, I can finally see that light that I had been searching for so long and needed to see. And there are several things that I want you guys to take away from this, because this isn't really about me. I'm sharing my experience to help other people. And what I think it's important for people to know is you have to be courageous, you have to be bold and brave, and you must know when enough is enough. You must know when it's time to quit, throw in the towel, and say enough is enough. It's really scary, it's hard, and I didn't think I could ever do it, but I had to. And I think it's fairly important that everybody, the whole entire planet, we need to be prioritizing our mental health. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to quit. It's okay to quit something that you just started a few months ago if it's affecting you that bad as it was affecting me. And even if it's frowned upon, even if I burned bridges or anything like that, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, and this is your life, not theirs. So at the end of the day, there are so many rooms and doors for opportunities. There is not one path for you to get somewhere, to get to your end goals. There are a million paths. It's what you decide to do and what path you decide to choose to go down. And the last thing that I just want to leave off with this is, I've struggled with this past year, but always believe in yourself. Believing in yourself can make you the most powerful that you can ever be, because you feel unstoppable, you feel limitless, and I firmly believe you can do anything, absolutely anything. If you believe and set your mind to it that you can and you will, you can do it. Anything's possible. And I'm still trying to do that and incorporate that into my life, but I just want you to know, always believe in yourself, because life is limitless when you do. And you, at the end of the day, do what is best for you. You have to prioritize yourself at some point. And if anybody has any questions for me, definitely don't be afraid to reach out. You can email me at the email below. It is support@rxvinny.com. Thank you guys for your time and attention. I hope you've enjoyed this, learned something, and we'll see you next time.